almost a year. K&C Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. Talk with Will McClay about baby Noah, who is about to turn 1 year old. He is the reason that I missed training camp last year. He is also a giant baby with a giant head. So,
I see a fullback or
yes, offensive lineman potential.
We don't want to say fullback because that's a kind of an underused commodity.
But I mean, you guys are bringing it back. I feel like the potential for in training camp.
Yes, if he can play special teams.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, right now we have already jumped into the conversation. We should at least introduce you, Vice President of Player Personnel for your Dallas Cowboys, Will McClay. We asked Steven this yesterday. I know the beginning of training camp can always be tough for teams across the NFL. You get worried about those tissue injuries and everything. Have you noticed an uptick in injuries at all early in camp, even minor ones, or do you feel like, no, this is about normal?
It's about normal. I think that what they do is a good job of the acclimation period of it seems to limit those soft tissue issues. For the most part, at least the volume, that's my gut without any data, because at least they're going through, and now we're not just putting on the pads and banging right away. So there is some, acclimation process to it.
At what point did you decide we got to get a Gilmore and a Cooks? Was it at the end of the season?
That was a good decision.
Did you know it going into the playoff? At what point was it you were like, I need to add this still?
Well, we go through at the end of the season, we talk about our roster. We all talk about, you're getting ready for free agency in the draft. You talk about your strengths and your weaknesses. And so those were identified as positions we would have to fill in the draft or in free agency. And so then you look for the best opportunity to do that. And when it came down to those two guys, it was in free agency. The opportunity came up, and you look at the cost, the cost of the pick, and then the value of the player. And then we added two really good players at relatively low cost from a standpoint of what we gave up. And we're seeing the benefit of them now as we add them to the team, in training camp, and we'll see it more when we get into the regular season.
Mike was talking about A.J. Hinch when he was with the Astros and how he had a very young team, but he needed some more veteran leadership. So he goes to Carlos Beltran, and he's like, I need you to come lead these guys. Did you look at Cooks and Gilmore as those types of guys that I know Diggs is a talented young player that's shown a lot of things, and I know CD is a guy that was trying to take over that receiver room, but did you look at that as a benefit of now I get to incorporate more veteran leadership?
Yeah, I think that anytime you can add good players, and the evidence is in the veteran guys, draft picks, we won't know for a while till we get out there, but we do have a young team, kind of a homegrown team, and there are draft picks that are out there playing, and they've been in the system. But when you can get quality veteran players that bring that leadership and teach young guys how to do it, we just see the benefit of it. But you got to find the right guys. Not every guy's the right guy.
One of the early players that's generated buzz is Overshone, and he felt like he was I don't know if this is the right word, potentially the most divisive of the Cowboys draft picks, because some people are like, I don't know how he fits, and other people are like, this is going to be the best pick of the draft, I guarantee you. Early on, he seems to have created some buzz in camp.
Yeah, when you have a profile for each position that fits the scheme and what they're supposed to do. So both the offensive and defensive coaching staffs are very clear about what they want. Defensively, that we play with two linebackers most of the time, all the sub stuff. So you talk about the speed and the ability to play sideline to sideline. And then, Dan and the defensive staff call it guys who hunt, guys that are willing to be physical. Overshone showed that at Texas, moved down from safety to linebacker. That skill set fits. And now we're getting an opportunity to see how quickly he can pick things up and use that skill set.
Do you think we should change the definition of a base defense? Because I feel like most of the time we don't run base defense anymore.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I was just in the room talking to the pro scouts, and we're talking about the advance, and typically we put together this presentation for the coaches, and the first one is base offense. Well, it used to be 21, where it was, two backs and one tight end. Typically, most of the teams' base offense now is 11, and most teams are playing some form of nickel. It's really, the sub formations are really more.
It does feel
normal.
Very misleading when you call it base. You're like, what, 15, 20% of the time, maybe?
Yeah, very much so.
Would you say that Dan Quinn is doing something revolutionary, or just more willing to do something unique?
more willing to do something unique. I know that Dan does a lot, talks to basketball people, baseball, and how do you use players and value, and how do you train guys that play multiple spots? Like, had a conversation with him, like he's talking about, he spent some time with guys in the NBA about, the guy that plays the 2 guard to 3. How do you have this multi-dimensional player? How do you use them? I think the best part about what we have done and what Dan has brought and Mike has brought in the mindset is bring us good players and we'll find a way to use them. Now, that's great, for a personnel guy to say, okay, but then that means your playbook has to be really thick or whatever. But they know what they're looking for. We're looking for those traits, and then we fill them in. They're very good at saying, like some of our 3 safety package stuff.
Yes.
Okay, people play it different ways. Well, let's use our players to their strengths, and that's all you can look for as a personnel side with the coach. We want to find ways to get guys on the field that we spend those resources on.
What have you seen from Mazi Smith that has impressed you the most, and what do you feel like I know it's super early, that you're like, hey, keep working on this because this is going to be different than the college level?
Yeah, the thing that's impressed the most is just how strong and square and physically dominating he can be in the A-gaps and the one-on-one stuff. We've seen a little bit of pass rush. That pass rush has to come on more. Now Mazi has to challenge himself to stay with the pace. Hey, we're rolling. He's got to continue to improve his stamina and those sort of things. But we think we're going to get you put him and Hankins, and we've got some bodies that teams have attacked us a certain way. We think that he can help us in that area.
Mazi has a thick neck. That is a thick neck dude right there.
He's just a thick dude.
You're going to knock him out, man.
Yeah.
So those are the real measurements. You're like,
that's a
little bit better. I was impressed, and I have to admit, a little surprised to see the progress of who we've dubbed Scooney already, because I saw him out there working on working resistance and then starting to run some short routes. Steven said he hoped he can be back in practice at the end of this week. I was concerned that this would be a longer term injury.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a longer process. We wanted to open up the package as soon as we got him. There was a little bit of injury there, so we're being smart with it and getting him through because we don't want any setbacks. We want to see what he can bring to this team, as quick as possible. So he's going through the whole rehab work, and we should see him this weekend and know what we got.
I've always been curious from your position, and we don't have to get into specific names or anything like that, but do you find yourself in a position then when player A is coming up for a contract extension or they're about to run out, and do you guys have discussions of, now I can find that player, this is a good draft for that specific position or this specific position, which makes it maybe easier, not easy, but easier to let somebody go?
That's part of our whole process at the end of the season. Like, the college scouts are out now. We're getting grades. We're starting to get ready right now to understand what the depth of the draft is. We know what free agents are coming up, and we know which guys are our free agents and where the holes may be. So we start kind of planning it out and looking at the available, talent in the draft and in free agency to kind of at least set a game plan.
And do you scout the higher-end quarterbacks? Because there's some folks with May and Williams thinking this could be a generational quarterback draft. Do you get involved in that, or are you like, well, we're set at that position?
No, we got to study the whole draft because you're never one player away. And you want to be consistent setting the board. Because we needed a tight end this year, you don't grade the tight ends higher and undervalue everybody else. You want your board to be pure. Your needs are your needs, and how you fill those,
dress.
you look at them. Yeah, you don't want a window dress. Let's keep it pure.
Eric Scott Jr., first off, I love the pick. Great job on finding him. Did you know he's a great juggler also? We learned this about him this week. I don't know how you apply that on the
I appreciate
field.
the deep research you do for the scouting profile. Did not know he was a juggler. That's not something that came up in conversation.
CeeDee Lamb, too.
Oh, yeah. Now, CD with his hand-eye coordination, I knew. I would assume that. But Eric's a DB. You're typically, if you're a good athlete and you're a DB, it's because you can't catch.
Yeah.
So the juggling thing does take me a little bit by surprise.
So one of the guys that I'm really...
Hold on a second. I do have to tell you that hat right there. I want to tell you that it almost takes me back to Rice because I think the Rangers...
Totally.
There's some logo infringement.
Copyright issues, yeah.
And I'm an Astros guy, so I'm a bag on the Rangers
We're
every chance.
also the home of the Rangers, so let's keep this
I'm just telling you.
There's a good battle right now.
I know there is. It's an arms race. Everybody's trying to hire old pitchers.
But who's in first place right now? Is it the Astros? Are they in first place?
Who's got World Series?
No. Right now. Don't live in the past, all right? We do that here, all right? Who's in first place right now?
What do y'all buy a game?
Don't worry about that part. It's actually half a game.
It's a long
actually half a
baseball
game.
season. It's a long
That's
baseball
why I had to ask
season.
you today.
Okay.
It's fun for the Rangers to just be back in it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
and that's what's fun. And I was wondering about Damon Clark. I
Yes.
think that he can have a great year this year. I love, obviously, talking about Mazi, that I think he can open up things for Clark. What are you seeing from him where he could have an impact on this team?
It's year 2 in the system. And, he missed a large portion of last year, the beginning stages of understanding the position and what he's doing and all that stuff. And he just came in, and first thing he wanted to do was get on the field. Now he got on the field. Now he's getting the experience. What Damon is extremely fast, extremely athletic. It's starting to make sense to him now. And he can make impact plays all over the field, and he can play on all 4 downs. That's a big key too, is to not be able to play on first and second, typically run downs. Can you play in coverage, and can you help on special teams? And I think he's going to be a big piece of what we do this year.
Before we let you go, Will, I was reading a piece on Justin Jefferson and the study they did on his eyes. I don't know if you got a chance to see this or if you know about this technology, but that's fascinating to learn that the dude can move his eyes unilaterally and all these things. Is that something you guys are kind of looking at more? Does that mean anything to y'all?
Yeah, it does. We're looking at every piece of data we can get on a player to tell us, what he can and can't do. And we have some outside sources that we use to give us different information and different little, we're always trying to find that holy grail, and it's mixing all those things together. But we have some tools that help, show some of those things for us, and then, tracking a dot on a computer is different than tracking a football.
Yeah.
So, the relevance of those tests, we also, we've got a new analytics department that's continuing to help bring new things to us. So we're always trying to find tools to kind of support the gut. We're going off of the film stuff, but what other stuff can we find out to tell us who the guy is?
Like trash cans on the sideline?
Yeah.
Oh, you remember that, right?
Yeah.
When that was here. Okay, I just want to make sure. But it's tough because I still want good answers and stuff. Is early thoughts on the field about...
Such a dig. There's so much haterade in here. And the old saying is, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Sure. But would you rather us talk kindly about the Astros and talk crap about you? See, we do it the other way.
Okay,
We
all right, I
talk
appreciate
brilliantly
that.
about it.
We talk really good about Will McClay.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Early thoughts about Jalen Brooks and then potential for Peyton Hendershot to be used in the screen game.
There's a lot of different wrinkles that we are adding to the offense, and that so much of that is based off of the personnel. You can't run, a certain offense if you don't have certain people. So the guys that we have, the offense is going to do a great job of finding ways to use those guys to their strengths without changing too much of what we do. There's some unique pieces offensively that we can use. I think Jalen Brooks has done a really good job so far in camp, showing that he belongs. He can play multiple spots. It's not too big for him. That's some of the things you worry about, with different guys. And at different stages, in the first couple of years is when the light turns on, and it's different for each player.
Man, that's great. I know you got to go. You got to. Our clock's
you can
up.
clearly hear that practice is about to get going or has begun.
Yeah,
and it's nice to see you guys. They can't see you guys sea walking in here. I didn't know y'all had that much rhythm.
This is a little bit of old school here with Dr. Dre.
Yes.
If you had 2 or 3 songs that are your favorite workout songs or practice songs, what are they?
My workout songs or practice songs? Well, I'm an old school hip hop head because I'm that old. So
Run DMC.
There's got to be DMX.
Oh yeah, we've heard him earlier.
Great legend.
What you really want?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about getting fired up.
He changed Jay-Z's whole career.
Any Jay-Z song and Rage Against the Machine. See, I threw
There
you
we
off for a
go.
loop right there.
Yeah.
That gets you go. That's Kevin. That's how he gets hyped for shows.
All right,
Yeah.
I have a really sad Rage Against the Machine story I want to share with you real quick. Then, I was at Texas A&M. Rage Against the Machine.
Sorry to hear that.
Okay, I get it. That's fair. We threw out a lot of crap. That's fair. Rage Against the Machine was playing down in Houston, but the next morning I had back-to-back finals, and I was like, it would be irresponsible of me to go, and so I didn't go. A couple months later, all their nonsense happened at the MTV Music Awards, and then the band broke up.
Yeah.
I missed my shot to see them in
opportunity.
concert.
I've seen him twice.
In your face. He just dunked on
I'm
you.
more jealous about that than the World
Just
Series.
let you know.
I think.
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
You've seen them in concert as many times as y'all have won World Series.
Yeah. True. How many times have y'all won, Will?
Hey, don't
That's
worry
all I'm
about that,
saying.
Will. Don't worry about that.
He brought it up. It's not on me.
He
But I am a
fair.
Ranger. Rangers are number 2.
Yeah, really sounds like it.
Hometown blood.
Yeah, really sounds like it, man. Thank you so much
Thanks,
for the
fellas.
time, Will.